State Senator, Lieutenant Colonel, no less, Zach Nunn. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Simon. Hey, thank you so much for having us back in studio this week.
You're very welcome. And on our newsmaker line, we have the former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. How are you, sir?
Simon, it's great to be with you. Zach, it's good to hear your voice, too. Great to be with you both.
Appreciate it, sir. Thanks for all you do for our country.
Well, we're very pleased and very honored to have you both in. Now, of course, you, sir, have said you're running around the country. You're helping people get elected. That's what you want to do because you think it's very important for the nation that there's Republicans in control of things in Washington, D.C. And fundamentally, that's why you're on the phone right now, I believe, right?
Simon, it is. I announced today that I'm supporting Zach, endorsing his candidacy. I am confident that he will be an important contribution to Congress, defending the good people of Iowa, representing them. You know, he served as an intelligence officer. I was just a captain. He's a lieutenant colonel, for goodness sake. And make no mistake about it, I am happy to have him part of the CAPVAC team and the things that we're doing to try and reclaim the tradition of America. He will be a standout leader on American national security, and I'm proud to support him.
Well, those aren't bad words, Zach, right?
Hey, Mr. Secretary, I am incredibly humbled to have Mike Pompeo, not only as when I was an intelligence officer as director of CIA, but also when he was Secretary of State. We were flying mission off the coast of Russia, doing what we could do to help national security. But this is a man who has led the country in some of our most challenging times. And Mr. Secretary, the country is in desperate need of leadership like yours. So very humbled to have not only your endorsement, but your support across the country for combat veterans to help take back a majority, serve this great country of ours. Thank you, sir.
Well, it's nice that happens exclusively on this show. I like that. You know me, always looking for the exclusives. So that's kind of cool. But obviously, look, we talked to Zach about a number of things because he wears a number of different hats. One of them, of course, is what is going on in Ukraine right about now. And I never thought I would see. I mean, you used to drive tanks, as we were saying off the air. You used to drive tanks in Berlin. I never thought we would see another World War II style invasion in Europe. You always thought if there was another war, it would be very different. But this is so reminiscent of World War II, isn't it?
Simon, it is. It's old school in the sense of I too often thought that the idea of tanks being blown up in the streets and armored combat was from times gone by, and we can see that that's not the case. We can also see, though, that the model of deterrence that President Reagan had and that for 4 years we had, it works, right? When America is strong, when we're not out apologizing, when you don't lead foreign policy with climate change, when you're serious about protecting people of Iowa and people all across this great country, when you do that in a way, you don't have to send your young men to go fight and die. You can convince folks like Vladimir Putin that the costs are just too high, and he won't engage in the kind of adventurous activity that he's undertaken, destroying so much of Ukraine and killing so many people there.
Right. I mean, there's a part of me. We actually play this piece of audio of Reagan from time to time. The theoretical hot mic moment where he's outlawed Russia and everybody's laughing. And I never thought that was a hot mic. I mean, he started on this radio station that I'm in right now, WHO. Every mic is always live. And then, of course, he went to Hollywood and everything else. I do not believe Reagan made a mistake. I think he wanted them to think he was, maybe just a little bit nuts. And I think President Trump enjoyed that cowboy thing. We don't know what he's going to do next. I don't think that's a bad thing for your enemies to be thinking about.
Simon, I remember the tweets, right? Fire and fury, and my button's bigger than your button.
Right.
There were those who mocked it, but make no mistake about it. The bad guys around the world watch that, and they immediately think, I want to make sure I really understand what American leadership is going to do and what the costs are going to be. And, Simon, they came to see, I try not to do politics in national security, but they came to see that a minor incursion would be okay and that we were going to re-enter a treaty that the Russians were in violation of. And I think Putin has been the same guy all along. What changed? The only thing that changed was American leadership. And now the Ukrainians are suffering, and the rest of Europe is on tenterhooks, worried that Putin will continue his efforts. Maybe he'll get slowed down for a bit in Ukraine, but make no mistake about it, his intentions are real, and the resolve of the West, those of us who believe in freedom and liberty is going to be tested by Vladimir Putin in the years ahead.
Let me ask my active duty colonel in front of me right now. Are you shocked, Zach Nunn, that Ukraine? I mean, we're a month into this thing.
Right.
Putin never thought this would be running a month after he started it. Never.
Well, Secretary Pompeo hit the nail on the head here. We have a situation where the lack of U.S. leadership and voice for deterrence has not only inspired Putin to go into Ukraine, but now we have a North Korea launching weapons that could hit Washington, D.C. tomorrow.
Yep.
We have a mullah in Iran who feels emboldened enough to negotiate an end to his nuclear restrictions, while at the same time a Biden administration talks about making the Islamic Republican Revolutionary Guard a non-terrorist entity and one of the greatest threats to Israel. And we have a emboldened China who on the one hand is paying lip service to the United States, while on the other hand dealing arms to folks in Russia and looking at a potential incursion into Taiwan. This is not just about what Putin is doing. It's about the lack of leadership coming out of Washington, D.C., from the president straight down to Congress, who's continued to talk about we're going to not buy Russian oil, but not until the middle of the summer when it goes into effect, because we can't survive with our Green New Deal push that we are so desperate to get rid of Iowa ethanol and biodiesel that will go at any cost, even if that means funding organizations who would invade another sovereign country.
Yeah, don't forget, day one of this administration, he closed the Keystone XL pipeline, which actually produces more oil, would have produced more oil per day than we import per day from Russia. Mr. Secretary, it is about leadership, isn't it? It's not even about Republicans and Democrats for me. It's about leadership.
Oh, Simon, that is absolutely true. It's a model that is time-tested, not just for America, but in all of history. Strong leaders that are prepared to protect their own people and secure freedom for their own people through demonstrable work, not just words, not just attending cocktail parties, but actually delivering, building their military, building out their diplomatic capabilities, having a strong economy. Those are the things that our adversaries fear and our friends are counting on.
And being believable. I mean, JFK was believable, right? That's why the Russians stared us in the face and then stood down, because JFK was believable. They believed he would go to war over it, and I just don't think anybody thinks that of this administration. And I don't want to go to war. Nobody wants war, but it's that strength that prevents war, and it's incredible to me as somebody who has not served that I can see that, and this administration cannot see that. It's amazing. I'm a talk show host. Come on.
Simon, it is the case throughout recorded history that weakness begets war. It creates risk and space. I worry, Zach went through a few of them. I worry that the Iranians are going to feel their oats. We've seen Chairman Kim launch this missile. We shouldn't forget that there are lots of folks watching how the United States responds to this autocratic thug in Russia. If we don't get it right, if we don't show steel, then they'll begin to take actions, whether that's in Taiwan or elsewhere, to truly begin to undermine our way of life here at home, too.
Before I let you go, I just want to ask you one more thing. So if we get to October and Vladimir shows up at the G20, what's the family picture going to be like? Is he going to be in it? Is he going to be 10 foot off of it? I mean, it's going to be the ultimate definition of awkward, isn't it?
No, awkward doesn't begin to capture what it would be. It is hard to imagine someone who multiple countries will have at that point demonstrated that he's committed war crimes, that he would be able to show up at a meeting like that, and any world leader from the West would want to be part of it. I think it's why you're seeing this division. You're seeing China, Iran, Russia, maybe Venezuela and North Korea all banding together, and the rest of the world beginning to unite around the central ideas of free trade, the rule of law, and the things that we know are important. I think you'll see the G20 start to do that as well. It's a pretty loose organization anyway. My guess is not too many folks are going to want to stand around and have their picture taken with Vladimir Putin if this thing's still progressing in October of this year.
Well, Secretary Pompeo, thank you very much for calling in. You just endorsed Zach Nunn for Congress. He thanked you. He did that exclusively on my show. I thank you. Zach, final word to you, my friend.
Hey, Secretary Pompeo, thank you for your leadership. Thanks for what you're doing. This happens both here domestically and what's happening internationally. So here in Iowa, you are always a friend. We look forward to having you back soon.